Okay, so let me just take everybody through a really quick sequence here, a pattern sequence. I've been listening to Douglas Schmidt a lot, and he's given me some new vocabulary terms, which I like. So I'm going to take you through an interaction with this application. So I'm going to interact, and then I'm going to show you kind of like a debugger, if you set breakpoints, what is actually happening. So when this thing fired up, when this app launched, active game activity started, and then we set the content to be active game screen. And we passed in a view model, and then we also set up a presentation logic class. Keep that image that I, like a friggin' idiot, X'd out again, which was stupid, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm gonna mouse wheel click on active game screen, and that's gonna take me there. We've got our composable here. This composable represents this whole screen, but obviously I've applied separation of concerns, which I explained earlier in the episode. And so I'm breaking the UI into individual parts. So there's a loading screen, and what you see here is what I call the active game screen state, or active game content. So we'll head into that, game complete, or sorry, wrong one. I mean this one, active game content. So I'm going to go in here, and then this part of the UI represents the board, the timer, the difficulty display, let me zoom out a little, and the input buttons. And obviously each of those things I have broken down into individual components. We've got the input buttons, the timer text, we've got the board itself. I do even break the individual text fields down, and this is where we're going to start with our pattern sequence. So what's going to happen is I'm going to click on one of the squares. Let me see if I can find one. I'll have to do some Sudoku for a second here. Okay, so I know there needs to be an 8 here. So I'm going to click on this tile, and notice how it's highlighted. So what actually happened there? So to take you through what happened, each of these Sudoku text fields has a clickable modifier on it, and it invokes ActiveGameEvent.onTileFocused. So that's what you see here. This is just a sealed class. I'm going to go through this kind of quick, but I wrote an article explaining exactly what's going on here, so I'll see if I can remember. But you need to follow me on Twitter and Free Code Camp and YouTube if you want to learn, or if you want to follow my content. But so I clicked a button, and then that triggered this onEvent handler, this onClick function here. And onEvent handler itself is a function type, and we'll see what that thing actually is in a moment. So we created a sealed class event to represent that particular event. So I need to know what is the x and y coordinate of the square that was clicked. In this case, it would be x0 and, sorry, x8 and y0, or x9 and y1. I can't remember if I started at zero-based indexing or not, but one of those. So that's just a sealed class, and what happens is the presenter, which is the active game logic, will receive that. So behind the scenes, and this is our loose coupling, this function type here, onEventHandler, which accepts an active game event, is actually concretely my presenter. And you'll notice that it has a function called onEvent. It doesn't have to have the same name, but it does have to have the same parameters and return type. And so this thing will actually unpack that event and decide what to do with it. I won't take you through the whole thing here, but it received an onTileFocused. Let's jump there. onTileFocused updated the view model, which has this focused state somewhere. Where is focused state? Update focused state. So, and that updated the state of the board, the state of the puzzle board here. And when focus is true, then the composable, when we jump back into that, let's go active game screen. When the composable receives that event, which it will receive in the, it actually receives it upstream because I have to redraw the whole board for the time being. I might be able to fix that later, but for now, it receives that event. Where's board state? Sudoku board. Right. So it receives it here. So I'm only redrawing the Sudoku board. And what happens is it will then redraw this part of the UI with that particular tile focused. Okay. So that was number one, and then I'll just do one more sequence where we input a button. So because I'm a Sudoku wizard at this point, because I've had to spend a lot of time solving Sudokus and thinking about them in order to model them as graph data structures, I know an 8, though I was joking there, I'm not that arrogant. I know an 8 needs to go there. So I've selected that tile and then I'm going to hit 8. Now what that did, I clicked an input button, and then again we have that same function type here which accepts our event sealed class, and it fired the event on input. So that's what that was. If I scroll up, you can see an 8 is now there, and what happened is, again, that event got passed to the logic class. The logic class unpacked that event, so it got what number I clicked on, which was an 8. And also, I don't remember why time or state is there. Who cares? Oh, I need to, every time I update the state of the Sudoku game, I need to update it in the back end. That's why it's there. So first we update it in the view model. So what I'm doing here is I'm checking all of the different values in the view model to find which tile is focused. So in this case it was that one. And then I know that's what the user wants to input. Then I try to update the backend. If the backend successfully gets updated, then we update the board state. It'll redraw the thing with an 8, and then we're good to go. If it fails, then we show an error, basically, and we don't update the view model or anything like that. So that's basically how this kind of thing works. I think I'm going to shut up here because I've been talking a long time, and we will get to some questions. But I hope that was kind of a useful thing for you to have a look at. And yeah, so that is one example of a pattern sequence, a data stream, depending on how you look at it, of my architecture.